Hello and welcome to the Ridiculously Good VA Show with Tracy Daviero. If you are a virtual assistant or want to be one, this is the place to learn the tips and tricks you need to become a ridiculously good VA. I've been a part of the VA industry since 1998, and I'm excited to get to know you and help you build an amazing business. Let's go. Hey there, welcome to another episode of the podcast that teaches you how to be a ridiculously good virtual assistant. Today I want to talk about another mistake the VAs make, and this one is a biggie. Avoiding networking because they think they don't need it. Today's quote is from Porter Gale. Your network is your net worth. And what does that mean? That just means that your business is going to be built on the people you know. And avoiding networking can make it significantly harder to get clients and that revenue for your VA business. Today we're going to talk about what you should be doing instead. Let's go. I see far too many virtual assistants making this mistake that we're talking about today. It's one that can significantly slow down your business growth and keep you stuck working with wrong clients, bad clients, or even no clients at all. And that mistake is avoiding networking. A lot of VAs underestimate the value of building relationships and connecting with other business owners, both peers and potential clients, because they think that networking is about sales or that it's only necessary if they're desperate for clients. In this episode, I want to talk about why avoiding network is such a really big mistake and what happens when you rely solely on passive marketing and how to shift your mindset around connecting with people so that networking becomes something that you actually enjoy. Really, you can, as a part of your regular business routine. I'm also going to talk about some of the common myths about networking that I see holding so many VAs back. And of course, I'm going to show you or tell you how you can work with me if this is an area that you want to get better at. First, let's start with what even is networking. A lot of people associate networking with stuffy events or awkward sales pitches. Ugh, those dreaded elevator pitches, right? But that's not what I'm talking about here. When I talk about networking, I'm talking about building genuine relationships. It's about showing up consistently, being curious, being helpful, and making sure people know who you are and what you do. It's not about closing a deal on the spot. I don't know why we think that is the way it is. It's not. It's about becoming somebody that other people remember when they or somebody else that they know need the services that we offer. And yes, this is something that you need to do, even if you're fully booked right now. The biggest mistake is thinking, I don't need to network. And here's what I hear from VAs all the time when I ask them, where are you networking? I'm not a people person. I just want to work quietly behind the scenes. I hate talking about myself. I hate selling myself. I get my clients from referrals, so I don't need to network. Where are the referrals going to come from? I don't want to waste time in Facebook groups or Zoom calls that don't go anywhere. Well, I'm kind of with you on that one, but we need to use those as tools. These sound like really good reasons. I know we make excuses all the time. Underneath all of these statements, each one of them is usually a fear of visibility or a fear of judgment or that lack of confidence that we talk about so often as virtual assistants. And sometimes a misunderstanding of what networking actually looks like when it's done right, especially for VAs, is the thing that just clouds our decisions about it. So what happens when you avoid networking? Well, a few things happen. You definitely miss out on opportunities. You're not going to be top of mind for people who need help or who know someone who needs help. And this does mean less leads and less referrals, fewer referrals. You isolate yourself. Working online can already feel lonely and avoiding networking can often add to that. It's really easy to get into that quiet hole, right? You don't have people to bounce ideas off of or to vent when you hit a wall. Remember, networking is not just for clients, like to get clients. It's with your colleagues as well. And you limit your visibility. If people don't know who you are or what you do, or if they used to know, but you've kind of dropped off the face of the earth and they don't really know what you're doing now, how can people hire you or how can people refer you or partner with you if that's something that they're looking for? And you also keep your business small. VAs who network consistently, they tend to grow faster. They get to work with good clients. They grow financially, but in terms of confidence and clarity and professional development, it just makes you a better business owner to have conversations with people every day about business. You grow with trends, you grow with conversation, you grow with communication. There's so many good things about it, even if you're not looking for a client right now. You're building yourself as a really solid business owner. So if you're wondering why your business might feel stuck, networking or the lack of networking that you're doing could be the missing piece. I used to love to stay behind my computer too. I think it came from me anyway, from working in kind of a toxic workplace. Well, I felt like all the offices I worked in became toxic after a while. But all those fake hellos and chats and distractions and what should we have for lunch today conversations, I dreaded those. I worked in an office once, and every time I walked into the accounting department, one of the girls in there would holler across the room, "Hi, Tracy!" Like every time. And I went into that office sometimes 5 times a day. The bosses were in there, marketing was in there, everybody was. And that, "Hi, Tracy," grated on my nerves so much. She was such a nice girl, but dude, seriously, right? It was one of the reasons that I started disliking being in an office environment. I just didn't like the fakeness. And the other thing, of course, is distractions. If I'm in the middle of a task or a project, I really like to stay focused on it. I don't like to work quietly for 8 hours all day long, but when I'm in the middle of thinking of something, composing some communication or working with numbers or whatever it is, I like to stay focused. I think a lot of us probably do. And another office I worked in, my office, I was lucky to have one, I know, with a door, but it was halfway down the hallway, and most people had to pass it many times a day. And of course, you keep your office door open because that's, the kind way to work. But with 15 people in the office, you can imagine the distractions that came and went past my door. People would stop to chat all the time and ask questions. And none were worse than the marketing director, who happened to have her office right across the hallway from mine, and she would yell across the hallway questions. Come in and look, or do you have this? Just, oh my gosh. Anyway, I digress. I did not like the office life. It's one of my whys for still working from home, or wanting to continue making it work to work from home. But the point is, when I did start working from home, I really loved the silence. I craved it. I worked hard, and I didn't want to have one more dumb conversation ever again. But networking means conversations. So you're like, "Hey, Tracy, you're saying you hate conversations. Why are you always telling us to network?" Well, because networking equals business. And I had to learn that the hard way too. Leaving the comfort and the quiet of my computer screen was the thing that allowed me to become the VA that I became, and to teach and coach the way that I've become. And I absolutely love talking to VAs and business owners now, because the conversations are relevant and interesting, and they help people do better business, and they help me do better business. I wouldn't trade the conversations that I have networking now for one single moment. So let's talk about some of the myths of networking. Number one is networking is just for extroverts. Wrong. Let's clear this up right now. Networking is for everyone. And by everyone, I mean every business owner, of course. You do not have to be the loudest person in the room to be successful at networking. And I think we're really taught that, right? We think that we have to be loud and salesy in order to make networking work. But in fact, some of the best networkers I know are introverts, because they listen well. They ask thoughtful questions. They actually follow up with intention. And they tend to focus on quality relationships over quantity, which is exactly what we want as VAs, right? We're not looking for thousands of clients. We're looking for a few really good clients. And you can make your networking work for your personality. It doesn't have to be like anybody else's. It definitely doesn't have to be flashy. It just has to be you. I have a podcast episode called The Introvert's Guide to Getting VA Clients. I'll link it in the show notes. But the key is to work with your strengths, of which I know you have many. Myth number 2 is, I already have enough clients, so I don't need to network. Well, this is a big one for sure. VAs often back off of networking once they're booked because they think that they don't need to do it anymore. But it's actually the best time to network, because you approach it in a completely different way. You're not desperate. You're not looking for clients. You can show up generously and build really good relationships without needing anything in return right away. And that is usually way more effective in becoming top of mind, isn't it? And client situations can change very quickly. How many people, it's summertime right now, clients go on pause, clients disappear, somebody no longer needs your services. If you're not consistently keeping your pipeline warm through networking, you may have to scramble if something falls through. Or what if you don't like working with one of your particular clients? It can be a lot more difficult to start up from zero than it is to just do networking now to protect you later. Myth number 3, I network in Facebook groups. That's enough. Well, it might be, absolutely, if you're using them to network correctly. Facebook groups and online communities can be awesome, but if you're just lurking or posting generic "I'm available" message in comment threads, that's not actually real networking. And I think that's something that we recognize as coaches, that we see the difference in you are showing up someplace or you're just existing someplace. Networking is not just participating in promo threads. It's about engaging with people and actually starting to get to know people, asking and answering questions, cheering others on, starting conversations, becoming part of conversations, reaching out to people directly that you've connected with, maybe even getting on Zoom to connect one-to-one, following up without any pressure, just building that relationship. And if you're relying only on Facebook groups and not forming those deeper relationships from them, I think you're missing the point of the networking aspect, the effective networking aspect. What does effective networking look like? Well, let me describe what I recommend and what I teach inside my programs and with my coaching. Effective networking as a VA is being clear on what you do, who you help, and how you help them, so that you can communicate it easily when somebody asks. I quote my friend Steve Lowell all the time, and he says it's not enough for you to be able to describe what you do. Someone else has to be able to repeat it to others. And I mess it up all the time. I'm actually seeing Steve this week, so I'm going to get him to say it again. But it's not enough for someone to understand what it is you do. They have to be able to repeat it to others, and that's your responsibility to communicate it to them. And showing up in a few well-chosen online communities consistently, they should be business groups where your clients hang out, right? You can definitely hang out in the VA groups, but you should be really consistently looking for clients, or looking for those connections, I should say, inside business groups. Effective networking also means starting conversations instead of waiting for someone just to post a job, right? Or a task. And following up with people you've spoken to in the past, just to check in or to share something useful. That's the nurture part of the making connections and the having conversations with people, is follow-up. It also means supporting others by sharing resources, tagging them in relevant posts, and referring to them when it's not the right fit for you. Again, you want to become a part of somebody's community, whatever community it is, and being a part of that community means knowing the other people in the group and helping them refer to. I always say the surest way to get a referral is to give one first, and that's a really easy way to do it. And finally, attending virtual or local events where business owners are gathering and treating them as a place to learn and connect, not just to pitch. Networking doesn't mean pitching, and I think if there's an overall message of how I teach networking, that would be it. Networking is not pitching. Networking is connecting with other business owners and getting a sense of what they do for their clients and what you do for yours, and seeing if there's a fit. All of these things add up over time. You're not trying to get in there and get the sale, right? You want to build a network of people, a community of people who trust you, who like you, and who will think of you whenever they think of somebody, when they come across somebody who needs a VA. It's totally normal, though, to feel resistance to networking. We have this concept of it, like I said, it's so connected to sales for a lot of the teaching that we've had over our lifetime. And so it's really, really important to recognize that resistance is normal because of the thoughts that we have. But if you're used to working alone, or if confidence is something that you're still building, you don't have to concentrate on being a master networker overnight. You just have to start showing up one small step at a time. And I think that's the key. We build these small habits by changing one thing, right? Choose one place to start, reach out to one person, comment meaningfully on one post per day, join in on one event per month. Like, those things are really simple to do. And it's not about showing up and talking to 12 people at once. You could talk to one. That should be the goal. Networking is a muscle that we have to build, and it gets stronger the more that you use it. If this is something that you know you need help with, you don't need to figure it out alone. I talk about networking and relationship building in almost every one of my trainings. Any of you who are listening for the years that I've been doing this know that. But it really is the lifeblood of your business, and it's really important. So if you want help putting it into practice, message me and let's talk about how I can support you inside of one of my programs or upcoming workshops, or just in general. I have lots of free resources as well. The point I want to get across is networking is not something that's sleazy. It's not fake, it's not salesy, and it's not something that you can avoid if you want to grow a sustainable, profitable VA business. It's about being visible, getting yourself visible, being generous, being a part of a community, and being top of mind. You don't have to be salesy. It doesn't matter if you're an introvert, and it doesn't matter if you think you're too busy. You don't have to do everything perfectly. You just have to do one thing at a time. So what did we talk about today? Avoiding networking is a major mistake that keeps many VAs stuck. If you want to stop being stuck, you have to stop avoiding networking. There's so much negative in that sentence. Oh my goodness. Get unstuck by embracing networking. How's that? I think that's a little bit better. Networking doesn't have to feel awkward when you frame it as building real relationships and becoming a part of a real community. So important. And honestly, when you find your people, it's actually fun to join in and connect with them every single day. You don't have to be an extrovert to do it well. Absolutely not. Go and listen to that introvert podcast episode too. Recognize the qualities that you have as an introvert and use them to the best of your ability. And waiting until you need clients is the worst time to be networking. It doesn't matter whether you think you see it or whether you don't. The people on the other end will see desperation. And we don't want that. Nobody ever wants to be in a situation like that. We definitely want to make sure that we are calm, cool, and collected whenever we're connecting with people. And it's just so much easier to do it all the time instead of when you absolutely need a client, right? And there are so many sort of non-cringy ways to build your network consistently without spending all day on social media. Social media is great. I think it's done wonders for our industry, for our work that we do together. No problem with it all, but you have to be using it correctly, right? So now it's your turn. Ask yourself this: where do I need to show up more? Who can I reconnect with this week? What small networking habit can I start building into my daily routine? If you need ideas or want some support making networking feel natural or more natural and easier, I'd love to help. It's the only reason I'm here at all, is to help you become a ridiculously good virtual assistant. Come find me on social, or better yet, jump onto one of my trainings where we can work on this together. That's what I'm here for, because you never know where your next client or your next great client might come from. That's all I've got for you this week. I'm Tracy Daviero, the Confidence Coach for Virtual Assistants, and I'll see you next time.